And then that last point there is what this fourth hadith on the screen covers. Whoever covers a Muslim, Allah will cover him in this world, and in the hereafter.
Yeah.
Translator has added the sin of, which makes sense because unless you're thinking that this is about clothing, that's obviously what it means in context. That if you cover up the sin of a Muslim, you cover up that disgraceful act that you observed in public. You saw that guy grab a woman and pull her into his house, and you think he's probably raping her. You cover up that sin. You cover that up, and Allah's going to do the same. Allah is going to cover up your sin.
Yes.
He's going to pretend that your vile acts didn't happen because you ignored the vile acts of someone else. Yeah, absolute depravity.
Yeah, exactly. And these are the Muslim sources. I mean, so these verses and these hadiths have been, they went into the tafsirs, they went into discussions by the Muslim scholars, and eventually they became law, and they've now become part of the Sharia. This is permanent. There's a whole chapter on that. I mean, I only went through a couple of pages, but this is an entire chapter teaching Muslims how to lie.
Yeah. And to my mind, this last statement is even worse than the others that teach lying, because it's teaching you to intentionally ignore someone's vile acts so that your own vile acts will be ignored by your God. What kind of God is ignoring your sin because you ignored other people's sin? Shouldn't a God who is just and loving want people to stop sin, put an end to it? But instead, he encourages it by telling you to ignore it when you see someone else sinning.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a completely different morality. And people need to understand that. This is not the same religion. We don't worship the same God. I mean, this is... someone asked me, what is this direct source info? So let me just briefly show them, Thaddeus, then you can go on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there are two sources. You can go get more detail than what I covered here. Okay, this one is the Reliance of the Traveler, the classic manual of Islamic law. So it's the Reliance of the Traveler and the Tools of the Worshipper. You need to get a copy. Any of my videos, go to the description box. You'll find a link. And the second one is the Ihya Ulum al-Din, Volume 2. You'll find it any of my description boxes. Go find my Google archive, and you'll see this is Ihya Ulum al-Din. Just look for the word Ihya in my Google archive. Get Volume 2, and it's page 108 that you want. So, okay, thanks, Thaddeus.
Excellent.
Please. Yeah.
Yes, excellent. Thank you for that. So our next item on the list is the bearer of burdens. And after talking about the dark, demented practices of Muslims ignoring sins, we'll take a fun look at this one first, and then we'll go into what it actually means in context, because I couldn't ignore the fact that the Quran in Surah 6 says the following. Say, is it other than Allah I should desire as a Lord, while he is the Lord of all things? And every soul earns not, except against itself. And no bearer of burdens will bear the burden of another. Then to your Lord is your return, and he will inform you concerning that over which you used to differ. So I just thought, this is kind of funny here, because Muhammad was, in the exact words of Khadijah, Muhammad was a bearer of other people's burdens before Islam. And then in the Quran, it says you can't bear the burden of another. Now, Muslims will usually today cite this verse as condemning Christianity, condemning substitutionary atonement. However, the supposed occasion for the revelation of the verse is actually different. Someone was lamenting, crying over their deceased relative, and Muhammad said that the deceased is tormented in his grave because of your lamentations over him. So what he was trying to say was that you're just bringing more pain into the situation. Don't mourn for the dead in such a dramatic way. But people misunderstood him, and they thought that he was saying that this individual is literally getting more torment because of you crying about it. Because of your crying, this other individual has more burden to bear. His torment in the grave is increased. His weight, the the displeasurable activities that every Muslim receives when they die, until the day of judgment, right? So from the time they die to the day of judgment, they're tormented in the grave. His torment's even worse, is what people were thinking. And then this verse comes down that says, no, that's not what Muhammad really meant. He just, because you see, you can't bear the burden of another. So when that guy is, lamenting over his dead relative, he's just causing more pain in the situation than there needs to be. He's not actually causing that guy to have more torment. So that's the occasion of the verse. But now let's look at that was just kind of a fun look at the literal words of Khadijah. Let's look at what she actually meant. And that's that Muhammad is empathetic, that he experiences the pain of others. So on the next slide, we have here Sahih Bukhari 5825.
Daif Bukhari.
Sorry. I
Grief.
keep misreading that. Daif Bukhari. So Rifa'ah divorced his wife, whereupon Abdur Rahman married her. Aisha said that the lady came wearing a green veil and complained to her of her husband and showed her a green spot on her skin caused by beating. It was the habit of ladies to show support to each other. So when Allah's messenger came, Aisha said to him, I have not seen any woman suffering as much as the believing woman. Look, her skin is greener than her clothes. So there's some back and forth. And then Muhammad says, well, I'm going to figure out what's going on here. So the man who divorced this woman whose skin has turned green from beating, the man she's married to now, right? So she married someone, he divorced her, her second husband's been beating her. And so he says, by Allah, O Allah's messenger, she has told a lie. I am very strong and can satisfy her, but she is disobedient and wants to go back to Rifa'ah, her first husband. So she said that the reason he was beating her is because she complained that he's impotent, that he is unable to get it up. He can't satisfy her in bed. He says, that's not true. I can satisfy her in bed. So Allah's messenger says to her, if that's your intention, know that it's unlawful for you to remarry Rifa'ah unless Abdul Rahman has had sexual intercourse with you. So this is his sympathy for her, right?